Welcome to another jam-packed episode of Blunt Talk Sports Podcast. I obviously am your host, Anthony Wright, coming to you fresh off smoking the Dallas Cowboys loud pack. Very enjoyable fucking first game of the season. Wow. A lot of things to dive into. First and foremost, before I talk my shit or, dive in, I always don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Obviously, for further football tickets throughout the season, definitely check out StubHub, Viagogo. There will be links in the description box of this video. Also, check out PlayStation Direct if you're looking to add accessories to your PlayStation gaming, whether that be, systems, accessories, joysticks, whatever you may need. PlayStation Direct has it. Definitely check that out. Getting that out the way, first and foremost, we're going to start off the game with the Jalen Carter incident. That shit was, upon initial glance, it was one of the craziest fucking things I've ever seen in my life. Um, it seemed weird that we didn't get full context until like late in the game, damn near when the game was over. However, video shows obviously Jalen Carter spitting on Dak Prescott, which as an Eagles fan, fuck him. I mean, who really cares? Fuck Dak Prescott. But within the confines of a game, that's going to get called. So he gets ejected. Kind of seemed kind of crazy, and it seemed like Jalen Carter wasn't taking it seriously. I'm in my living room pissed the fuck off because I'm like, our best D lineman's off the field now. They're going to easily be able to run the ball, which is something they did. I'll definitely touch on that in a little bit, but him getting ejected definitely affected the game in so many different ways and so many different facets, which just shows you how important and integral he is to the Philadelphia Eagles defense. Be that as it may, he gets ejected. Um, we find out later on that Dak Prescott spit over one of the Tylers, whether it was Guyton or Booker. I want to say it was Booker, but he essentially spits over his shoulder. And it seemed on film a lot more malicious, regardless of what Dak Prescott said after the game when he spoke to Jason Garrett, stating that, quote, it just seemed like it was a misunderstanding. He thought I was spitting at him. I'm a human being like you are. If somebody spits in my direction, I'm naturally going to fucking think they're spitting at me. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the league handles this. Week 2, we play Kansas City, so it'll be a nice little 10-day layoff for the Eagles have to play another football game. But Jalen Carter being suspended definitely is a possibility. I don't think he should be. Now that we know full context of what happened, I think it'd be egregious to suspending. But we had obviously faggot ass, pardon my French, 20 penalties being called tonight. I mean, that was just crazy. That was insane. I mean, you got when you're hearing, well, the league is stressing emphasis on taunting penalties. Taunting? Wait. You mean a guy getting a sack and celebrating it over a guy, or a guy getting a tackle for a loss? That all of a sudden now is it became a problem. It became a problem. And obviously, I'm talking about the Nolan Smith sack. I believe it was the second quarter, midway in the second quarter of the game. But either way, it was just egregious. But if you guys had checked out the preview video that I did prior to, I had said there were some key points definitely that needed to be touched on. First and foremost, how was Brian Schottenheimer's offense going to look? Brian Schottenheimer, first and foremost, I have to give him a shitload of credit. He came out with a thorough game plan, which was run the ball, try to hit Philly with some misdirection, try to get them looking this way and go that way. It didn't. It worked for the first half of the game, but obviously a football game is 4 quarters, and it didn't work late. Be that as it may, game went on. We also were interested. I was very curious to see how Dallas would deploy their running backs. Obviously, they ran a running back by committee. Had Javonte Williams, who played pretty well, had 15 carries, 54 yards, 2 touchdowns, obviously. Not, a major impact, but just gave Dallas the ability to just keep the game honest by running the ball and keeping Philadelphia on their heels. So, got to give him credit. Miles Sanders, on the other hand, low-key savior of the game for the Philadelphia Eagles. Like I said, I'll get on that a little bit too. But his crucial fumble late in the game definitely caused, the Dallas Cowboys to put them behind the 8 ball, and just they weren't really ever able to capitalize after that. But you start off in the first quarter after the disqualification with Jalen Carter, you just have a shitload of turnovers. I mean, I knew that there was going to be some rough play. There was going to be a little bit of sloppiness. Neither offense has started off the preseason playing. So you kind of figure, okay, there's going to be a little bit of, shoddiness. I mean, that was quite shitty. I mean, that was one of the worst penalty. I think that was the most penalties they may have had in a game during the Sirianni era. I can look that up, but I'm pretty sure that was a fact. It was so bad at one point. they were tossing flags, and the Eagles players were already throwing their hands up, knowing that the penalty was on them. Uh, Looking here at the stats via ESPN, the penalties, the Eagles had 9 penalties for 110 yards. That cannot fucking happen. That if you really want to repeat as champion or get back to the Final Four and threaten to be champion, putting yourself in a situation where you're giving up 110 yards of just penalties, you're giving the Dallas Cowboys, whose offense, albeit did show up, but when you put in context the fact that you're giving them chunk plays by pass interference penalties, roughing the passers, taunting penalties, that just gives the Dallas Cowboys half a field to work with. And in all honesty, Dak Prescott, though he is very mediocre, if you give him half a field, he is going to score a touchdown. He is going to put that team in position to win. So that definitely is not, something that can continue, and it's definitely something that the Eagles will have to work on going forward. Like I said, Dallas ran the ball pretty efficiently. If you look at it as a team, looking here at the stats, they ran for 100. They ran for 119 yards on 22 rushing attempts. So again, they were averaging 5.4 a carry. If you have that as a team, you'll take it. But again, to the Eagles, I love the way that the Eagles offense looked to start this game. Kevin Patullo had a game plan in mind. The Eagles offense looked sharp and fluid to start the game. It was an excellent diversification of the ball around, the complete just offensive layout. The way, Saquon was getting the ball, Will Shipley. You saw, Jahan Dotson get a couple plays, Dallas Goedert, as I predicted in the early preview video early this evening. Well, yesterday evening now. Damn, it's 1:27 a.m., excuse me. Yesterday evening. I stated that, he was going to wind up having a big role, which he did. You go a bit further, though, CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb was having a hell of a game. Now, he had 7 catches for 110 yards. His predator-looking ass, though, really, really put Dallas in a bad situation late in the game. I mean, obviously, his drops were egregious. And again, just remember this, full context. They paid him last year and didn't pay Micah Parsons. So just remember that. When any Cowboys fan that runs up and says, "Oh, that last catch, that last play, that was a tough catch," bullshit. Elite receivers make it. So that shows a lot of his numbers are just strictly fucking inflated. How many times in this game where at crucial points he gets that first down or he gets that big play, Dallas is in a situation where they could win the game. He clearly blew it for Dallas on offense, so he's going to have to wear that. Also, you go a little bit further, Jalen Hurts, fucking outstanding. I mean, Jalen Hurts, again, only 152 passing yards, but it wasn't really the passing. He was efficient tonight, 19 to 23. You definitely will take that. But it was his ability to run and just extend the play and just fuck shit up for the defense. You cannot account for him. No matter how much you do defensively on those receivers, you could try to take away Dallas Goedert. You could try to take away Saquon Barkley. All Jalen Hurts has to do is just get a little bit of daylight, an inch of space, and he's gone. So love the way he played tonight. Jahan Dotson, too. I think that big play that Jahan Dotson got in the second quarter was so pivotal because at that point, if Dallas gets a stop, you kind of feel like the momentum's on their side. He gets a 53-yard reception, deep ball down the field, which definitely helped extend the drive, which led to a Saquon Barkley touchdown. So definitely loved it. Like I said, the Eagles were clicking. And it seemed like both teams were clicking up until halftime. Dallas even had drove down the field late and kicked the field goal. It was 21-20 at halftime. It just really felt like the Eagles needed a turnover or a stop to really win this game. You get into the third quarter, the offense gets stopped, fresh off halftime, you get the ball back. Then, God bless Miles Sanders. It's funny how those former Eagles always talk shit. It always amazes me how they don't realize why they no longer wear the jersey. You no longer wear the jersey because you fucking suck. The fumble in the Super Bowl, you're at 1,200 yards. Did you really believe you had 1,200 yards? You were playing behind the best offensive line in football. If you didn't run for 1,200 yards, it would have just proven even more how ass you were. And then he thought that Howie was going to extend them. And the dichotomy, it just literally, it was some Charles Dickens shit, y'all. Tale of two cities. You see, first play, he gets the ball. He runs up the sidelines. He gets in the red zone. He looks great. And then what happens a couple plays later? Fumble. Puts the ball on the turf. Eagles sees momentum. And then at that point, the trickeration, the magic, Mother Nature, whatever you want to call it, was in play. You had that weird weather delay, which pretty much had both teams on their ass for an hour. I do think that one of the mitigating factors though that did help Philadelphia, and it was kind of funny. It was something that was innocuous to most fans, to me, with the casual. But when you hear, and I want to say her name was Melissa Stark. I want to say it was the female announcer during the sideline commentating for the game. When she stated that Trayvon Diggs, that during that weather delay, was basically stating that he wanted to eat, and that he was trying to look for trays of food to eat, and he got subs for the guys that had the tray brought to the locker room. That to me was a little hinky right there, because I've played football. I know if you're sitting through a weather delay, the only thing you really can do is hydrate and stretch, make sure your body doesn't seize up. You eat something like fucking cold cuts, a cheesesteak, a pizza. I mean, anything heavy, greasy, saturated in oil and fat content in the middle of a football game, yeah, you're going to be sluggish. So it's going to be very interesting to see how many of the guys had subs or cold cuts as they defined it. But I definitely think that might have played a factor into it, because why in the hell are you eating during an hour rain delay? I know you get a little bit hungry. I know damn well there's some damn, trail mix or, Nutri-Grain bars or Cliff bars. Something was the fuck around that you could have had instead of some damn cold cuts. But again, this is the Dallas Cowboys. This is why they're in the shitstorm that they're in. But going into the fourth quarter, neither team could seem to really put it together offensively. So Dallas definitely was, doing their best defensively. But I must give full credit to the Philadelphia Eagles defense. Put on a fucking clinic at the end of the game. No matter what the Cowboys were doing, every time they needed a major third down stop, they got it. And then obviously one of the things is pet peeve of mine. I love the way Quinyon Mitchell plays. I really think he is going to be an elite corner in this league. He's got to get those interceptions. That interception early, late in the fourth, where Dak threw that. I mean, Dak doing what he does best late in the games, spraying the ball around like a fucking water hose with no control. He's just throwing it. He's trying to give the game away. If he's throwing that out route and you get a hand on it, you got to secure that. That's the difference between a good corner and an all-pro corner. So that's definitely something he's got to work on. I thought he might have gotten better with that after the postseason run, after he got those turnovers, but training and being a tactician and regiment, it all matters. Also, too, Adoree Jackson fucking sucks. I cannot, I will not. I don't know how in the hell Vic Fangio is going to get any rest watching that tape, because watching Adoree Jackson defend CeeDee Lamb was almost like watching my grandmother defend Lawrence Taylor coming off the edge. It's not happening. It's not happening. I just didn't understand. And then he's in positions where he shouldn't be, where his hips are getting completely turned, his head's getting turned. Now, he did, in fairness, Adoree Jackson did make some plays late in the game that affected affected CeeDee Lamb. The one of the potential of many interceptions that the Eagles should have had tonight. So he did kind of recover on certain plays, but that right cornerback position for a fact is still under review. Anybody that tells you that Adoree Jackson has that lockdown is bullshitting you and does not know shit about Eagles football. So that for a fact I can guarantee you. And then of course, why in the hell did AJ Brown not touch the ball till late in the game? Now I'm sitting here watching it, and I'm like, okay, he's going to possibly get this ball late in the game when we need him. One catch for 8 yards, and he didn't even have any targets. So it wasn't like there was anything being schemed up for him. I understand coverages. I understand you have to take what the defense gives you. You got to find a way to get a playmaker like that the fucking ball. You see what happens late in the game. You needed him to get the ball on an out route. He gets it. You get the first down. You're in position. Now it changes the world when AJ Brown is able to move the ball down the field. So still trying to figure out the offense, what works, what doesn't work. Clearly the quick passing game is there. So that's something that I think they really perfected during the offseason that they're going to have to work on throughout the season, is to get AJ and Smitty and just all their weapons more involved efficiently. And last but not least, they cannot commit as many penalties as they did going forward. But I really want to hone in on the running game. It always goes to this old adage: don't fix what ain't broken, or how does it go? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's the Eagles running game. The Eagles running game consistently just shows you why having a dominant offensive line who suffered injuries. We had Landon Dickerson, out. He wound up, I thought it was his ACL or his MCL with the knee injury, but come to find out it was his back. He was questionable to return. He obviously didn't return. They wound up putting Brett Toth in. I would have to look at the film and tell you exactly how good Brett Toth was, but you know, not wasn't great that you had to lose Landon Dickerson at any point during the game, but pulled out the victory. I mean, Jalen getting that first down late in the game really sealed it. Put a very, poignant exclamation mark, in the end of the regular season. Well, week 1 for the Eagles. So week 2, we got the Chiefs. Definitely going to have to tighten our shit up. Going to Arrowhead, that's going to be a 425 game 10 days from now. So we shall see. But that's going to do it for this live stream episode of Blunt Talk Sports Podcast. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Fly Eagles Fly. Take care and make sure y'all get some fucking sleep because I don't know. Riding this wave, I might not get to bed till like 3:30.